And welcome back to Pokemon Team videos. Today's Pokemon Team video is apparently one I actually forgot to get to. So I'm just going to do it today to get to it. From Dennis Servin, who asked the question, what is Setsuna Tokage's from My Hero Academia's Pokemon team? Now, when I did my Pokemon My Hero What If crossover, this was a character I actually realized I didn't write a team for. And to be fair, that's basically because I didn't intend to use her in the story. I wrote out all the rest of Class B. I just didn't write her out because I knew I wasn't going to get to everyone. It was really that I would write down the characters and then go from there as the story was going on to see what characters would ultimately make it into the story. Tatsuna Tokage is one of the top classmate members of Class 1B in My Hero Academia. Her quirk is, I believe, Lizard Spitter, which basically allows her to split her body apart into up to 50 different pieces, manipulate them individually, and use those for tactical advantages. She is very confident, very cunning, very witty, and very keen intellect. So this posed a bit of a problem. So, because let me get three of the ones that I'm like, okay, I can kind of work with this out of the way. Now, when you hear a quirk called lizard splitting, or spitting, I think it was splitting, you think, okay, something reptilian. Even her outfit looks a little scaly and reptilian-like. So you would think, well, okay, lizards? But when you actually break down Pokemon, there are not a lot of lizard Pokemon. Like, straight out, there are not a lot of lizard Pokemon. Here's what I could add to the team for lizard Pokemon. Kecleon. Kecleon's able to camouflage. She's able to hide her body parts because she can separate them more effectively. Makes sense. Okay. Another one, fan favorite from the OG realm, Lickitung. It's a lizard. That's the best I could come up with. Finally, for the third lizard on the team was Heliolisk. It's a lizard. That's really all I had there. Plus, I mean, they all have techniques that can be used from a tactical advantage standpoint. But as I thought of it more and more, I'm like, well, there's not much else for lizards I can go with, because when I think of lizard, I think of a reptile, obviously, and most reptilian Pokemon up beyond that are either turtle-based, crocodile-based, snake-based, and the few lizards are more dragons than lizards. Like, for Jangmo-O, for example, is technically a lizard, but it's a dragon. And you can see lizard and dragon in there. So that didn't really meld very well. I could have gone Helioptile instead of Heliodisc, but because she is still a student by all accounts. But that said, we wanted Lickitung here, and I felt that worked. But other than that, though, like, I'm going through every generation. I'm like, lizard, lizard, and I'm like quickly realizing, wow, there really aren't a lot of actual lizard Pokemon. We got a chameleon, we got a frilled lizard, we got a generic long-tongued lizard skink thing here. Actually, I think that's what Lickitung is supposed to be on, based on the tail, very fat. Skinks tend to have very fat tails. But other than that, though, no, there just isn't really any lizard Pokemon, surprisingly. At least none that are specific. Specifically, just clear lizard. But yeah, so those are fine. And then I'm like, okay, what about her ability, her actual quirk itself? Is there a Pokemon that can basically separate itself and, you move those pieces independently? And unfortunately, no, there isn't. As far as I can tell, there is no Pokemon that can literally move different pieces of itself at will. Now, luckily, there is a Pokemon that is like a bunch of smaller Pokemon that kind of come together, and that's Wishiwashi. And that kind of works in the idea of her bringing all of her, her physical body parts back to her body to help her, reform and, keep her standing on the ground, no problem. If you know what I mean by that. So I felt Wishiwashi can more or less work in that. Now we came to the part where it became difficult, because she's only really ever introduced in that arc, the joint training arc, and that's fine, but it doesn't give us a really good indication of what we can do for a team with her. what I ultimately came down with this, because she is also considered one of like the heavy hitters, very strategically minded. I felt I felt that I needed maybe a psychic Pokemon on the team to help illustrate tactical advantages or her ability to think tactically and intelligently. And honestly, I can't say there's really a Pokemon that really fits that, but ultimately I went with Medicham. It's a fighting psychic type, which represents the intelligence and the tactical side in combat of things. So Medicham, sure, she's not really a hand-to-hand fighter, so having one fighting type, a little odd, but ultimately not anything to really lose sleep over. The last one, I was just thinking, like, is there anything else I can use? And this one doesn't really fit, but it kind of fits. Stakataka. The Ultra Beast known as Stakataka, which is a rock steel type, I found out. Because I didn't play Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So Stakataka I didn't care about. It's like, oh yeah, there's just some new Ultra Beasts. Woo. And you got Necrozma doing Necrozma things. Woo. I never really go in for the third game because it is just the same story. That's not true. It's the same game with tweaks. And it's like, well, why would I get that when I already had this? Now, there are exceptions to every rule. I never played Platinum. By her, Platinum was honestly the best of the three. And Giratina, let's be honest, is kind of the best of the three as well. And it helped even out the decks a bit more effectively. Black and White, too, I'm told, are honestly maybe even better games than the original Black and White, which are really good games, honestly. They fixed the decks issue pretty well with, like, adding new old Pokemon in there as well as new Pokemon. Spacing out the decks a bit more effectively. And Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, I also hear, are really good, effective games. So, yeah, I just never played it. But it is a bunch of, they say like an average one of these is like 150 single individual Pokemon that come to form one big Pokemon. So, I mean, because it's multiple Pokemon in one, I do think it is a effective candidate for this team. Sadly, this character is not the most easy to is not the easiest is the terminology I was trying to use. It's not the easiest character to try to make a team for. So yeah, this is the team I think for her ultimately. But this is one of those teams where if you have better ideas, I am more willing to hit them. This is one of those few times where I'm really not comfortable. I'm not definitive on just about any member on this team, save for maybe one of the lizards. And that's just because of the name of her quirk. So let me know what you might do differently if you would do her team differently. But thanks for watching, though. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. I'll see you for the next one.